Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and I've got a real special treat for you guys. Over the last few years, you guys have all been requesting, among other things, that we do a 2D effects animation course. Well, we've solved that. I've got my buddy Joey Mildenberger here. We've known each other for what, 30 years now? Close to 30 years?
Long time, 1990, I want to say 5?
Yeah, so it's been a long time. And Joey is a veteran, wonderful 2D effects animator.
Oh, you're too kind.
Well, I got to tell you, he's brought some really cool stuff, but we've brought him in. He's been here for the last week, and we've been filming the new course. And so we just finished up today. We're finishing up. And
Will you take that chain off my leg?
Yeah, right.
I've been sitting there. I'm like,
He's been chained to the desk, and he's been cranking. And so we decided we'd go ahead and advertise the course, talk to you guys. But Joey brought some really cool stuff that we thought would be fun to share. Some effects animation from Alice in Wonderland and all kinds of stuff.
Sword in the Stone.
Yeah. And for those of you that that are watching this that aren't familiar with effects animation and what it is, a lot of people know what character animation is. They know, they watch cartoons and everything, and they see the character moving around. But one of the things that a lot of people take for granted, Joey explains it as, you know, the bass player in the band that carries the band. But, you know, if you do your job right.
I'm back here.
Right.
He's up there.
You know, fire, water, rain, smoke, clouds, shadows, all these different things that need to be animated are animated by the effects animator. And it really is the icing, it's the spice, it's that really cool stuff that makes the movie sing.
Gives it the depth, it puts the tones on the characters. We turn these lights off.
Yeah,
It's going to start looking bland.
exactly.
You know?
So that's what Joey has done, and we brought in Joey brought in some really cool drawings, and we thought we'd go over some of them.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that I look at and it's like, oh man.
Before we get into all that, do you want to talk a little bit about you? Kind of your background and come on, it's your favorite subject.
Me. Well, I've been I started animation in 1985, and I got a job as an in-betweener for Don Bluth Studios, and we were working on American Tail, and that was just jumping in the deep end right off, and it wasn't. Seemed like a short year later, I was animating the effects already. I mean, I had some really good instructors, some people that go back to the 9 old men, the originators of effects at Disney, which would have been Josh Metter and Dan McManus. And these guys worked on the Fantasia stuff and Pinocchio, and these guys were inventing the idea of effects, and they because it became so specialized. In that early animation, Disney decided we just need a separate department that just does that, and the character guys can go off and concentrate on doing Mickey Mouse,
right? And
then the effects guys, they can concentrate on doing the splashes and stuff.
Look at the intricacy of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
This is from this is from Fantasia, actually.
Right. Wow.
This isn't an original drawing. This is a photo, or what do you call it, Xerox?
Photocopy.
Photocopy. And what's fun about, for guys that are into nostalgic animation and stuff, the pegs are different here.
Yeah.
They're tighter.
They're tighter. It's the Disney pegs.
Yeah.
I was looking at that the other day.
The old Disney pegs. And
we use the Acme pegs now.
Yeah. And see, here's some...
these are Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
right?
here's some stuff from Alice in Wonderland, and these are actual...
These are originals.
These are real.
Yeah.
You can see the pegs on these. Oops. Yeah, see if I can... here's notes. This is a great drawing. It's got all these effects notes on how to color it and
water, man.
Move
waves.
Yeah, this is.
That's I've tried to animate water and waves and failed miserably. So I'm going to watch your course over and over again.
I'll have to show you how to do it.
So this shot was from The Sword in the Stone, and this is the section where they're fish, right? And they're underwater. And
yeah,
and the pike goes after them. Yeah, it's really cool. The intricacy of
and
that water.
He turns into an owl, or he's an owl.
Yeah,
at
and
one
so,
point.
but I really want people to see this because, like I said, this is something that a lot of people take for granted. But when you sit down and look at the artistry that goes into really great effects animation, it's like a light bulb goes off. And people go, oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed this video, we actually shot a lot more than we could get in. So if you go on over to creatureartteacher.com and pick up the course, you're going to get to see the full video.
It's not just the motion of flipping, but it's training your eye to see that
action.
motion.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you're looking at something and you kind of squint and then you see the silhouettes, and you sort of get that tunnel vision, and all of a sudden you see it. Or it's like, what are those paintings called? They're all pixelated.
Yeah.
And if you look, and if your eyes look at it a certain way, you see numbers in it.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like that with effects. It's like you can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
that was
clicks.
one of the things that the few times that I've done effects animation, I get I can do that first drawing and it comes out really nice, but then they animate that drawing moving, the action in that it gets out of control. And you had some really cool techniques that are part of the course, just to plug the course a little bit more.
Yeah, you can.
You had some really cool techniques like animating the circles for smoke, and tracking that. And then you go back and add the shapes around those circles.
Yeah.
Really, really smart things to do.
I mean, and it's just kind of a basic way to start to learn how to do effects. And then once you, and it's like basic shapes. It's like all effects. Like you look at this big water scene, and like how do you break that
how
down?
do you even begin?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, you just look at groupings of stuff. You look at a mass. Like this mass here is going to go up, and it's going to break up into little pieces. And you kind of just let that break up, but you can still draw a circle around your big mass, even though it's all broken up. And,
Right.
And it takes time, it takes experience to be able to naturally feel like how far should these little bits go per frame.
Right.
That just takes experience, and you gotta. I don't, how many drawings will you have to do before you get experience?
Well,
I don't
all
know.
of them. You gotta do all of them. But
I'm still learning stuff.
we spent half the week working on paper, which I think was really cool to show folks the old ways,
Yeah.
But it's not necessary to work on paper for this course because it's really you were talking about fundamentals and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then we spent the other half of the week working digitally, doing the same thing, covering some of the same material, but just reinforcing what you had talked about. What's this one from?
Okay, this is some roughs I did for Home on the Range.
Oh, wow.
Well, one of the most popular Disney movies ever. It's about cows. I mean, no, seriously, it was the best. If you didn't see it, you're missing out. But there were some great effects in it. This is like a part of a flash flood, and this is how I would just rough my drawings out, and just a heavy black pencil, and well, first I probably did it in red first, and then I went over with the black pencil, but
I pulled them up a little more.
Yeah.
There we go.
You can see how this
Look
progresses.
at that. That's crazy. Now, obviously, this would be shot, or you'd have the negative of this because everything's dark, right?
Yeah, it's all dark.
So then you could self-color whatever color they want to do the water.
Yeah, after they scan it. And you see these shapes, it's already filled in, so there's no inking that needs to be done. It's quite a bit different than this.
Yeah.
Because
this is done at a time when there was no Xerox.
They had to paint this stuff. Here, they could Xerox it or scan it and just wipe it a color. Here, they had to paint it by hand. So the drawing's much different. I mean, this is a far more elegant drawing because they have to noodle this. But
well, it's a different style as well.
It's a different style.
Every film has its own style, and not just character, but also effects.
Yeah, and it probably took them 5 times longer to do that than it would for me to do that. And here you can see I was drinking coffee.
I was going to say, this is how we know this is authentic.
Yeah,
because almost every shot seems like it has coffee.
There's
drips
old
on
coffee on that. Yeah. And see, it's thinning out. I'm getting kind of tired of noodling, so I'm just doing rough outline shapes.
Yeah.
And so on.
Very cool. Well, since we just showed that, it kind of brings me to the next thing. We can keep showing more stuff. What were I was wondering if you wanted to talk about some of the elements and some of the effects that you covered in the course this week.
I can't remember.
Well, we started with. Did we start with water? We started with water, drips, and everything from a little drop of water to flash floods and all kinds of stuff.
And I just did like the basic thing.
Right.
It's like, here's a little drip of water and here's a little splash. To elaborate on that, I could do a whole 10 hours.
Well, that's the other thing too. When we say, effects, it's water, fire, smoke. Well, there's countless variations of each of those subjects.
Yeah, they all.
A drip of water or an ocean and everything in between. And all the things that it does. Is it a little candle flame or is it an atomic explosion? And everything in between.
It's a forest fire. Is it a?
The smoke. Is it the end of a match going out in a little wisp, or is it a forest fire, like you said?
Yeah, and different action or different moods of that. You can have smoke that looks really friendly and happy, and then you can have smoke that's just ominous and threatening. And with all the effects, you have the same with the water. You can have soft, calm water, happy little splashes, or you can have a torrential.
And that's what it made me really excited about this course, is because and it's still an introduction. It really is.
Yeah.
But you did quite a few variations on everything, which I thought was really cool.
Well, thank you.
And we're gonna one of the things we're gonna do today is the hand drawn stuff that Joey did. We're gonna be shooting that on the down shooter, and we'll play some of that back.
Yeah.
You want to? I saw that you had some nice fire in here.
Did I?
Saw it earlier.
Fire.
I wonder if you want to pull some of that up. That was from Hunchback, you said, right?
Yeah. I think this is from Hunchback. Yeah. We look at this.
That's a torch, you said?
Yeah, it's a torch. I think it's Frollo.
Yeah.
You see the bad guy?
Look at that. I mean, each one of those is they're just beautiful pieces of art in themselves. Great effects.
It might be fun to shoot this and just show how it works. Because I don't have any rough movies of this. I think back on Hunchback.
This is numbered on 2s then, huh?
It is, yeah. On Hunchback, we what did we do? We had video shooters.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember those things?
We all had one in our office.
Yeah. Well, you animators did. We effects guys. We had to go out in the hallway and share. We're basis in the band, man. You're not going to get the front office. It's like we don't ride first class. Sometimes we might be in business class if you're an effects animator, but you're never going to get first class.
This is one of the things I wanted to show, is just the variations that you can get from style to style, from film to film. Yeah.
Here's another example of a style of smoke, and this is from a Disney production, because of the pegs, but I don't know exactly what it's from. I can only guess. But I'm not even going to guess, because it's just hard to tell. But here's an example of popcorn smoke. I mean, this is probably from the 1940s, or.
And why do they call it popcorn smoke?
Well, gosh, I don't know. It's hard to imagine where that name might have come from. But this is a style that's just been used for years and years, and I showed you. A lot of these little swoopy curves, when you're drawing it, it's like muscle memory.
Yeah.
You can just draw all these things, and your hand just continues to do these little cutbacks and things, and so you don't really have to think so much about what you're drawing.
Very cool.
That's it. Okay, and here I have this. Oh, these are cool drawings. This is neat stuff. This is from Alice in Wonderland when she was
when she's giant,
she's
right?
starting to cry, and it leads into the other scene where she's in the bottle in that water. So these kind of scenes kind of hook up.
Yeah.
And
the waves.
Yeah, let's see if we can get some interesting.
I love these drops.
Yeah, these
they're
drops
really
are
stylized.
very intricate. I mean, look at how they drew these.
Yeah. They're meant to feel like giant drops of
Yeah,
water.
yeah, and they have like they've got 2 highlights, and then they have this other shadow tone area. Really great stuff. I mean, I look at this, I'm like, okay, that's how I'm going to draw mine. And even the little splats down here, I can see where they put a highlight. They've got this kind of red. I don't know if you can even see that. There's like a red pencil there indicating a highlight. So when this went to ink and paint, they would know to paint that red part a different color.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here's a faint hint of they traced the bottle. So it's starting. This scene's starting to fill up. And also, you know, back in those days, they were limited to how many cells thick they could put
exactly
on,
before
on
it
the
starts to
platen,
discolor.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had a beautiful painted background. You had here we have a bottle, and the more cells they'd stack up, the colors start to.
It starts to yellow.
Yeah,
it's dingy.
And so they really wanted to avoid that at all costs. And in this case, they put all the effects. They probably told those guys, "You got 1 layer to work with."
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, "Oh, geez, really?"
Yeah.
And nowadays, we have the luxury of
Infinite.
You can put as many layers as you want.
Yeah, yeah.
And
People don't forget that. Is that, you know, back in the day, you know, even though a cell is clear, it's not completely clear when you start stacking them on top of each other.
No, it starts to get muddy.
Yeah. And so we only had a certain number of cells that we could stack.
They can also cast a shadow too, right?
Exactly. Yep. They
Yep.
can cast a shadow. And a lot of times you'll see that. You'll see the shadow of a character layer or of an effects layer or a painted layer.
Yeah, because
you'll see it cast a shadow on the background.
It's painted opaque. And if you hold something, you know, above something, you're going to see a shadow, right?
Right.
So that's what happens with those.
Yeah, you get a little offset, a tiny little offset shadow.
So if you had, say, 4 layers stacked up,
Yeah.
and then you've got some little thing on the 4th layer up here,
Yeah.
it's going to cast a shadow like that.
Yep. Yep.
And it starts looking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, the camera department would go crazy trying to light stuff like that to
They'd light from all
illuminate
angles
shadows.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, what else we got? Oh, here's just another example of some a different kind of water. Yeah, this would have been from Emperor's New Groove. So this is a bag that Cusco was stuffed in, and so it drops into the water. But first I animated some stream going underneath a bridge. And this is not too exciting to look at if you don't have reference of what's going on at the background. But it gets exciting.
Yeah, one of the things I love about effects animation is that study of physics, understanding, you know, the world around you from a physics standpoint, energy and the distribution of energy and how it moves from one thing to another. And, you know, it's so cool that you can get that into, and it's creating that illusion, right? That illusion of reality.
Yeah, and we, you know, effects animators, we'd always, you know, try to go out in nature and look at stuff and sit there and just watch a water stream, watch a stream, sit by a stream and just look at just how everything's going. All of a sudden, you see the world in a different way when you're starting to like freeze frame it in your mind.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, what's that? How's that water doing that? And it's
one of the things I love about animation in general, whether it's effects or character or whatever. You just start becoming the student of the world around you and kind of recording it in your brain and making note, you know.
And you're thinking about the studio. It whether you know it or not, you kind of become a student of physics.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, how heavy is that? And if an object is that heavy, what is it gonna do to this table when it hits it?
Yeah.
You know, if it's a balloon, it's just gonna float down and bounce off. If it's a rock, it's gonna hit this table and stuff's gonna happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you kind of have to, and like, you know, how fast is that gonna fall? If it's a balloon, it's gonna float down. If it's a rock, it's it's going to fall really fast. And
it's all an illusion. They're just drawings. That's
Yeah.
what's so cool about
And-
it. But you can feel that weight. You can feel the softness of the balloon, or the density of that rock. And
yes, and that's the magic of animation.
yeah,
when you
I
take
just-
something that's,
I love it.
I mean, this is just a graphic representation of what water could be.
Right.
Water doesn't really look like that.
Yeah.
But if you animate it in the timing and you give it some characters that water does, it sells it. It's totally
becomes
believable.
water.
It
In the
becomes
minds
water.
of the audience. It
Yeah,
becomes
you
water.
believe it as water.
Yeah, because effects animation is not always just environmental and there to support. Effects animation, a lot of times, can also be part of the character. It has its own character sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we have the dancing flames in Hunchback. We've got Hades, whose head was on fire. You know, a lot of people think that the character animated the flames on
A lot of
But
you guys
yeah.
steal the thunder.
Exactly.
I mean, there again, basis in the band.
Yeah,
You know,
Nick Ranieri, who was the supervisor of Hades, didn't animate the fire. He didn't animate the fire.
he did put an indication of where he wanted the fire to be.
Right.
But after a while, it was like we all knew it was going to be on Hades' head. So
Right.
okay.
And I loved how the flame, was a representation of his mood as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
and
always
so you
fun.
guys had to work close on that.
Here's an example of getting a rough from the animator. I don't know if this was Nick's drawing or not because he didn't sign it, but he would have drawn this in rough and then sketched out some hair. I don't know if he did that or I don't know, but I just love this shot.
But then you guys would come in and
Yeah, we on a
could
separate
finalize
layer.
that-
On a separate
that
layer,
flame.
we would draw that flame. It looks like he's a bit emotional here, so I'm sure we would have drawn that a little differently, just depending on how he reacted. That kind of stuff, it's like it's a thankless job, but hey, if you're going to be an effects animator, you know you're not doing it because you want to be the headliner on stage.
it's beautiful work.
But you're doing it because I always loved drawing smoke, fire, and water. And when I was a little kid, I always thought, okay, someday I'm going to be a Disney animator. I
Yeah.
just had it in my head. That's what I want to do. And I drew a lot when I was a kid. I didn't draw so much in high school, but after high school, I realized I got to get my act together and get back on track to what I want to do. And then I found out there's actually a department that all you do is draw smoke, fire, and water. I'm like,
go.
okay, that's what I want to do. And that's what I ended up doing. I was, focused from then on.
Electricity.
Yeah, here's a fun scene that I really enjoyed animating. This is from Runaway Brain, a very has a bit of a cult following now.
Yeah.
Actually.
That was done back in 95, 96 it came out, I
Yeah,
think?
I mean that's when we met.
Yeah, exactly. You
we
were working on
We
this
were
one.
both working on this show.
Yeah.
So I did this scene. I mean, this is an example of the effects animator being the headliner. Like this is the scene. There's no character in it. It's just all effects.
Yeah.
It's just full on. And so I animated this electricity bouncing from. It's like, see, I think I have a rough drawing. So it's kind of like a Tesla coil type thing. So the electricity is it's comes wrapping around here and it hits that and it sparks and explodes and it hits that and it just wraps around and makes a big crazy electrical field, sparks coming off it. So I actually have an example.
Oh,
of
yeah.
this we can show.
Yeah.
The end result, and this is one of my more favorite scenes to animate. Here's in the course, I showed this scene where from Land Before Time, the second film I worked on, and I was tasked to animate this rock crumbling and Littlefoot's almost falling down this big chasm during an earthquake, and there's a rough drawing from it.
That's great.
Yeah, I was still wet behind the ears when I got this scene animated.
Yeah.
And it turned out okay.
Yeah, man. And then so you got some vines there that he gets caught up in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing. You know, this is Land Before Time as well. There's the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Chasing after Littlefoot, and yeah, we had to clean up these vines. I basically animate them. So we would draw all this stuff because he's like struggling and pushing against this. They're sort of stretching and coming back, and then in this scene, right after the scene, the vines would snap, and it hits the T-Rex in the face.
This is great.
Now here's a iconic scene. Some of you might know from Lion King. So here's Simba. He's coming.
You forgot.
This is not Simba. This is
Mufasa.
Mufasa.
But he's talking to
coming
Simba.
through the clouds.
Simba.
And
You've forgotten me.
yeah, I have this drawing, which is the rough of the smoke.
Yeah.
So I did work on this scene, but I didn't actually animate this. This is my friend Dorse Lanford, my dear old friend, who he hired me into animation.
Yeah.
When he was working at Bluth, he was
Yeah.
the supervisor, and he gave me a chance, and he hired me, and then he got this big scene, and I helped him do some in-betweens and clean it up. But yeah, this is really
A beautiful shot.
cool stuff. It's such an iconic scene. If you mentioned Lion King in a conversation, everybody knows what you're talking about.
Right.
You mentioned Pocahontas, you got to kind of explain yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? But Lion King is like needs
Worldwide.
no introduction.
No. It was a great film.
Now,
Now these are interesting.
yeah,
Explain this.
here's
this is
something
really cool.
interesting. This is back in the old days, before we had computer comping. If we wanted a special effect, and
Right.
in the effects department, it was a special effect.
Yeah.
We had to use this paper that we called Exeter paper, and the thing is, now I've glued this, affixed it to a cell, because this is a piece of artwork now, and this had to be shot under the camera. This was camera art, and I don't know if if you hold this just right, you can see this character through here. Now come over here. You see that character? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Now, this particular shot, this is from All Dogs Go to Heaven. Mm-hmm. And in this shot, it's a rat race. And you got this little rat that's racing along with all these big fat rats, and right at the end, he wins.
Yeah.
And he's leaping through, and they're taking a photo finish.
Yeah.
And he's flying through the air. And so this is how I did the photo finish.
The flash.
The flash. So
Yeah.
I had Exeter paper, and then these shots go together. These two drawings. So I drew like
Almost like scratchboard or something.
yeah. Well, it's a chalk pencil.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. No,
See, I
no, see
drew
it.
a chalk pen or a
Yeah.
grease pencil.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's highlights on this rat. So like when he, goes, it's a photo finish and flash. So I drew these highlights. So for just a couple of frames, this is all you see. You don't see the painted color of the rat or anything.
Right.
This is the artwork.
Right.
And this is to mat it out.
Right.
And the camera, I'm not sure what they did in camera, but they might have used this drawing once and then used this one once and then used them together.
Right.
To get kind of a
Get that stagger.
Yeah. So that's Exeter paper for you. We'd also use this to do star fields.
Oh, right.
Like in a picture where there's twinkling stars in the background.
Yeah.
So we take this Exeter paper, put it on a piece of cardboard, like our scene stacker cardboard, which is this stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd have a pin, like a needle.
Yeah.
And we'd sit there and poke. We'd make a star field. We'd poke holes in the Exeter paper. And then if you held it up to the light, you'd see all these little
Yeah, it would go,
stars through it,
Yeah, yeah.
And so they would use that in camera. they'd shoot that a separate pass.
Right.
And it would just double expose, because if they blasted light through it, it's going to
Yeah.
be a bright exposure. And then they'd reshoot everything that had to be a background or character. And it didn't matter, because you exposed those little pin lights to the film already.
Yeah.
So that had washed it out. That's how we did Starfields. Now here's something, maybe I need to get some room here. I'll take this old Lion King drawing and turn it over. So here's an example of a special effect.
This is cool. I like this.
With that, I had to figure out what it would be like to be inside of a tornado.
Yeah.
And this is from All Dogs Go to Heaven. It's a scene where Charlie, the main character, is sucked into a tornado. He's going around in a circle.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get this softness, and it was before we had computer technology. We had to do it on paper.
Yeah.
And I thought
figure it out.
the best way was to airbrush the softness, and just like they did back in the old Disney days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
They did a lot of paint. The effects guys did a lot of painting on cells and stuff. And so I just decided I'm going to paint on cell. And then after I had it all animating, I had a table similar to the size of this, and I laid out all my different paper or animated papers. But I put these on pegs. So I flipped it over and I airbrushed every drawing onto cell.
Yeah.
And I did that for like 3 scenes, I think.
That's great.
It went pretty fast. I had another guy helping me. You might remember Garrett Wren.
Yeah.
And he was my assistant at the time. And so I put him up to it as well. So we both airbrushed, and he was quite good at airbrush. He's actually a really good artist.
That's great.
So there's an example that we'll show you of that scene.
Well, we picked up a little guest along the way. This is Lilu.
Let me get you a little
But
puppy.
that was cool. So we looked at a bunch of the drawings. We had some history, a little history lesson there of effects animation. I know you've got an amazing reel. And I thought it would be fun to go through your reel and show everybody some of the stuff that you've done over the years.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'll show you. This is an older reel, but it's like there's some gems in there.
Yeah,
I think,
Nice collection of your work.
Yeah. So let's have a look. That's from I think Three Musketeer movie. Oh, here's some Tarzan.
Yeah, very cool. And I love all the different stylistic changes in here too that we get to see as it goes through. Lots of cool stuff. Everything from a balloon. Look at that ground. That's cool.
That
it's
rocket
like the
shot.
afterburner coming on.
There's
And
our
there's our
electricity shot I was talking about.
Yeah,
Oh,
Runaway
I get to
Brain.
zap Mickey. That's from Lion King.
Yeah. See, once again, all the stuff you take for granted, all that water.
Yeah.
Look at the intricacy of
It's
it.
from Tarzan. Yes.
These bees.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Electricity.
Rock-a-doodle.
Love it.
That was the ending to Princess and the Frog.
Right on. Rover Dangerfield.
Yeah. See, there's character animating. That's Rock-a-doodle. There's some spark. Oh, that's from Lion King.
Yeah, you got to animate lion spit.
There's All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah.
That again.
Look at that, man. That's crazy.
That's from Princess and the
Yeah.
Frog. Yeah.
The effects on that are just insane. Hey, we saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
There
cool.
you go.
She gets smacked. See, look at the stylistic change on that. There we go.
Yeah, this stuff was
Look at the
fun.
modeling in there.
Yeah.
All that.
That was
the details.
That was
look
crazy
at
to
that.
draw and animate.
Oh my gosh,
Look at that. I love that scene.
that's amazing.
Wings on that guy.
Yeah, that I think to this day, I think the avalanche in Mulan is probably one of my top favorite effects scenes ever. It's just insane.
Yeah, it's a fun sequence to watch.
Lion King.
That's
Oh, these are the
Home
drawings.
on the Range. Yeah,
those are the drawings we were looking at earlier. That's great.
There's Curious George stuff. That's Bebe's kids. Hercules. Yeah, that's.
Look at all the different styles. This is so cool.
There's that.
Now this is cool. You animated the ground plane too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the shadows.
And that
There's our water
reflection,
effects, yeah.
that was done by hand. I didn't use any slot gags on that.
No kidding.
That was all by hand.
Wow.
It's from Bebe's kids.
Down comes the
Yeah, they just tore that part down. Runaway Brain.
Yes.
Oh, yes. It's all dogs, coins. Some stuff from the Book of Dragon.
Wow. Water, more snow,
Yeah,
smoke.
Mulan
Yeah, look
stuff.
at stylistically. There's that. That's the Mulan style, and the smoke matches it so well.
There's
Great
some more
water.
I'm not so happy with that scene. I'll cut that out of my next reel.
It looks great.
Oh,
there's
there's
that
fire.
flame. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the flame that we were looking at earlier.
That's from Bebe's kids. That was fun to just animate that shack. All dogs.
Yeah,
There's Hercules.
I love this gag.
Yeah, that's a Princess and the Frog gag. This was fun. Just
Yeah.
looking at the characters too. There's Hades' hair, fire.
Once again, very stylistically,
Yeah.
that movie. There's our Cusco
And there's,
shot.
There's that, yeah. And there's Hades again. Props. Yeah, here's that owl trying to fry.
These drawings that we looked at are just insane.
Yeah, the waterfall was great. That's a challenging thing.
Yeah.
And like if I do an advanced class, I'll break that down.
Yeah.
And I'll show how you can animate a
That'd be amazing.
waterfall.
Well, that's an incredible reel, and I know it's just a little snippet of your work, but I'm so
that's-
excited for everyone to get a hold of this course and start learning from you. I mean, you've got so much to talk about, and like you said, we're just scratching the surface with this course, and we could have more courses down the road.
When you asked if I would do this course, I honestly didn't think I had more than a couple hours of stuff. I was like, how am I going
That's what everybody thinks until you start.
And I get into it, it's like, how I can't even possibly get through this. And I can't go over everything I got in the. I don't know how many hours this course is going to be.
Exactly.
I got a lot more to show, but I felt I just had to start off with the basics.
Yeah.
Because I started off basic. I take for granted what I've learned, and
Well, I think we all do to a certain degree. We tend to forget how much is packed up in here until you start sitting down and talking about
unraveling
it,
it,
and trying to explain what it is that you do, and then it just starts pouring out. But
And I mean, there's an art to explaining what you do too. I mean, Aaron's great at it. This is my first time I've ever done anything like this, so I hope that I've made some things clear.
I think you've done some really great stuff, and I think you're going to be doing more down the road too. So we'd love to have you as a guest on some of our live stuff, and it'd be a lot of fun.
Anytime.
But
it's
been an amazing week. It's
Yeah.
just been an absolutely amazing week, and
it's been great hanging out with you.
yeah, and I can't wait to get this edited and get it out there, and have you guys start learning some hand-drawn 2D animated effects. It's a whole rabbit hole that you can go down and just have some fun with. So go on out there and go out and put some beauty back into the world. That's what we do as artists.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Joey.
Thanks, man.